Hey everybody, this dark tank that we're looking at here is my Gudgeon tank. You can see the Gudgeon silhouette there in the front center. And the reason it looks so dark like this is because my forward fixture has a tube that's burned out. For the last several days I wasn't sure if it was a tube or if it was the fixture itself. But today I was able to get in here and pull the tubes out and have a look at them, and sure enough it's just a tube that's burned out. So it's no big deal. I've got to replace it. Unfortunately, when I went around to the other side of the basement where I've got all my old tubes and stuff ready to go out to the recycling, I was able to find a tube that's the right size and length. This is a T5 fixture, but it came out of an old under cabinet fixture or something that I had. I'm not entirely sure where it came from. It's not a high output, and it is a 2700K tube instead of the 65 or 6700K that I prefer. That's what we have in the back. And this is a 40-gallon breeder. It's an 18-inch deep tank, and by deep I mean front to back. So the forward fixture is burned out, and that's why we've got so dark up in the front, and it's nice and brightly lit in the rear. But I just want to show you the difference between what the different color temperature tubes look like. I just shot a clip a minute ago that I had to delete because I got myself all jumbled up and confused when I started talking about warm and soft and cool and bright and all the different ways they label these colors. I like to stick with the actual number of the color temperature, 2700K or 6500K, 6700K. That way you know what you're talking about, because different companies label their color temperatures differently. You might see one that calls it bright white and another calls the same color temperature daylight. So you can't really go by that. But in a generalized sort of sense, if you hear someone talking about a light being warmer or softer, that means it's got more red spectrum in it and less blue. If you hear people talking about a cooler or a brighter light, that is usually referring to having more blue and less red. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a moment. The other tube I've got in here is called a Colormax, and it's a really strange looking color spectrum that sort of highlights all of the different spectrums, and it doesn't even really get its own color temperature. Let's see if this comes in properly. So you can kind of see how the one tube on the bottom is that sort of odd pink, blue, pink at the same time sort of color. That is the Colormax, and that's, it really makes all the different colors in the tank pop. But by itself, it's a terrible light to have in the tank, so you need to have another light, and we've got this really nice bright white 6700K tube. I think that's what that says on there. Yeah, that's a 6700 tube, or 6700K tube, and you can see how bright white that is. Now let's have a look at the forward tube here when it lights up. And you can see how, there we go, now it's starting to adjust properly. You can see the Colormax on the bottom. While it's getting warmed up, it's getting all that funky stuff moving around in it. But you can see how it's that sort of bluish, pinkish color. And then you look at the 2700K tube, and look how yellowy orange it is. So that definitely gives the tank a very different feel. I don't think that will be adequate for the long term. While it makes the tank look sort of nice, it looks like a sort of late afternoon sort of sunsetty color, especially if I turned off the rear fixture and we only had those soft lights in there. See, now that gives you a much better idea of how reddish orange the light is compared to that bright white of the 6700K. So I don't think this would do well in the long run for these plants. I don't think it would get high enough energy light. I don't think I'd be getting enough of the blue light in there for the plants to grow well. And with all of this softer light, I think we would also get favorable conditions for algae and cyanobacteria to grow. And this is one of my few tanks where I don't really have a lot of issues with either of those, so I really don't want to put some bad light in there that really encourages that. And there's one of the reasons why I don't have problems with this. I don't know if you could see that or not, but my little rubber lip pleco down there just made a brief appearance. So this tank is going to get transformed here pretty soon. I am going to be changing it around and doing something different with that Gudgeon, and you're just going to have to wait and see what I do on that. I got to wait until I'm a little more ready to spend some time down here. It's going to be a little bit more of a project. So there's just a few little differences in looks of different kinds of lights. Again, you probably want to go with the 65 or 6700K for a planted tank for the long term, but if you want to put something softer on there for an evening glow, or if you want to just change it up a little using that softer light, you know, that lower color temperature, 2700K color temperature, will give you a very, very different feel in the tank. So that's it. This was only meant to be a quick video, but if you're familiar with my videos, you know they never end up quick. I always ramble on and on and on. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Again, this is my Gudgeon tank for the time being, and you never really know what it's going to be here in the very near future, but I am going to be changing it up soon. So make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.